Hi, so in the Moana video, I also mentioned I'd seen Beauty and the Beast at around the same time, and whilst there isn't enough material for a full analysis, it's not that deep, but there was a particular thing that I picked up on that I thought was quite interesting. So this is your spoiler warning. If you move past this point, I'm assuming you've either already seen it or you don't care. So we good? Let's go. So this is an update, a remake, whatever you want to call it, of the Disney animated classic from the 90s, itself based upon the Victor Hugo original tale, which has been interpreted a number of ways over the years. One of my favourites actually being the series with Ron Perlman. I thought it was quite interesting, and I'm probably showing my age for remembering that. But it was interesting, it brought it to a modern setting, it's great. Look it up. And of course we all know the tale, it is apparently as old as time. And this one has, Emma Watson as Belle, it's got Dan Stevens as the Beast, Luke Evans as Gaston, and Josh Gad as LeFou. Great casting all round, I think all the roles were perfect. I wasn't sure about Luke Evans, but I'm convinced he's really good. And obviously we all know about the controversy around LeFou's more openness with his gay identity. Hi, Paul from the future here, just cutting in to say that this is based on the director Bill Condon's words as well as the media coverage. There was an interview I've seen where Luke Evans, as a gay man, states that he feels it's perhaps more like a really good friendship, and maybe LeFou's just questioning, could it be more than a friendship? But there isn't anything concrete there. Upon further analysis, I can see what he means. Either way, it's a good thing to include, even someone who's questioning. But I thought it would be very remiss of me not to put this little tidbit in. Now, to me, this was always at least an undercurrent. It was subtext, perhaps, in the animated version. But like I say, it's a lot more open now. He's a lot more out, I suppose you might say. But I do want to say, whilst that was wonderful and progressive, well done Disney. You deserve points. You did kind of pull the rug out a little by then making a transvestism joke towards the end. Low-hanging fruit. But you did try. You've at least got the gay thing down. You just need to now look at the transgender transvestism side a little better. But that's not what this video is for. Off my soapbox. So like I say, we all know the story. I'm not going to hash that out. This does answer a lot of the issues with the animated version. The big one that I think everyone sort of points to is... So, the curse was, about 10 years ago. The rose was going to basically finish wilting on his 21st birthday, by which point he'd best have got someone to love him or else. So 21 minus 10 is 11. 11-year-olds are, one, notoriously selfish, and basically children in general are not well-rounded human beings, and cursing an entire castle's worth of people on what an 11-year-old did is mean. And two, where were his parents? Why is he the one answering the door? And three, he's got servants, why is he the one answering the door? But back to the parents, where were they in this? Surely it would be them who should be cursed. If he was cursed as a side effect of that, fair enough. But of course this does away with that. He's having like a ball, he's very much a vivacious kind of, hedonistic lifestyle having chappy, who doesn't really care about anyone but who's in his place at that point in time. He has to surround himself with the beautiful people and the best things. So it basically says, look, he's an adult. He may still be like a spoiled brat, but he's an adult. Additionally, we actually see Chip being told, go away, it's nothing to do with you kind of thing in the start as well, very briefly. So we now no longer have to wonder, how do teapots have sex? And how do they give birth? Would Chip come out the top, out the spout? Don't think about that, it leads you down some very weird rabbit holes. So we no longer have to think about that. The idea, it says that they're kind of in a bubble, spatially, if you will. The town forgets that they're even there. But we now can kind of confirm that they're also in a bubble temporarily as well. No one's clearly aging during this, and Chip was always a child. So it's fine, we do away with that, and I like the fact that they answered that question. These people in the castle, these servants, these members of staff, had ties to the town. We see at the end, they've got wives, husbands, lovers, friends, who had forgotten about them all this time. And I think some of the, sort of acidic personality, if you will, like the boring kind of quality of some of the townsfolk is because they've lost people, but they can't remember that they've lost people. And that's interesting to me. You know, it isn't the main thing I wanted to look at, but I think that is also very interesting. Their unwillingness to seek adventure, to see the beauty in what Belle's doing, in the fact that, you know, she's seeking more out of life. She wants a good life. She wants to have fun. She wants to enjoy herself and be educated as well as entertained. And she wants to invent things and be creative. They've lost that spark because they've lost those people, but again, they don't know that. And that's really sad. You know, it's not just the prince and his staff who are suffering. It's the people around him. In apparently Villeneuve, you know, as it's said in the film. These people are being directly affected by it. But of course, they're going to continue to age because they're not under that curse. They're like, you know, maybe 10 years down the line, whatever it might be. You know, no cemented time period is established as far as I can recall. So, you know, that's really quite sad that their lives are also affected. But the thing that really, you know, I took away from it, the thing that festered in my brain and said, wait a minute, whoa, take a step back here, is when Mrs. Potts is mentioning, you know, how they saw everything going on. They saw how the prince was being raised as a spoilt brat. And his parents, you know, just seemed to be very similar to him. You know, they're very much like just bon vivants, you know, just I want to do what I want to do and sod everyone else. She says that we could have done something. We could have prevented him. And, okay, not everyone could have done. I mean, for one, maid's job really isn't probably to step in. You know, Cogsworth as the head of the household, if you feel like the head butler kind of thing, you know, the guy who's organising it all. He probably wouldn't have much of an impact or a direct involvement with the prince. So it would only be people perhaps like Mrs. Potts who may have more of a contact with him who could have stepped in, so should everyone be punished? But it is interesting, this idea that was missing in at least the animated version. I've not seen, you know, any others that have been in that kind of medieval, if you will, or you know, sort of older setting, you know, that have really touched upon this idea of social responsibility, which is really what it is. Social responsibility of the household staff. If any one of them could have said something, you know, the whole see something, say something idea, if they could have stepped in, and okay, it might have cost them their jobs, that fear might have stopped them, but if any of them could have helped prevent it, it would have been better. And whilst all of them being cursed is just as bad, if I'm being honest, as anything else in, you know, that the prince had done, you know, isn't the best idea. At least those who could have done something, you know, there is a sense of it's not just unfair anymore. Yeah, it's unfair on Chip, it's unfair on the dog, it's unfair on like anyone who wouldn't have had the opportunity, but there are people who could have helped stop that happening, who could have, you know, said, who not even said anything to his parents. They could have just made sure he was shown nothing but kindness and good things when they were around, as long as the parents weren't around as well. You know, they could have instilled in him a better sense of social responsibility. You know, their social responsibility rubbing off on him and giving him some. Which, as I say, was the big nugget in my brain. And it does come back later on, the social responsibility idea, because rather than just they'll be stuck like that forever, you know, where we're not kind of made to think that, you know, they'll just become antiques. You know, they in this version, in the newer version, they are becoming these items. Not live, you know, not living animated versions of these items. They are just becoming like a clock, just a candlestick, just a feather duster. They're not alive anymore. Technically, at the end, they all die for a period, if you think about it. They're just objects. That's quite scary. But the Enchantress gets redemption as well. Whilst, you know, as I say, you can say that she's done something bad by condemning everyone, she gets redemption as well, because she's there, she's witnessing. And to be honest, when we saw her early in the film, I thought she was the Enchantress. But, you know, she sees it all going on, and she sees that he was trying to protect Belle, he was helping her, and she is saddened. And she has the choice then. She, in her own social responsibility, has to go, Is it the greater good to say, well, you didn't do it in time, so it doesn't matter? Or is it the greater good to say, you were so close, I'll give you this? You know, you've learned from your mistakes, and you've convinced someone to actually care for you. That's technically what I was after. I wanted to see that you had, you know, the ability to care for others, the ability to consider others' feelings, and the ability to make them care for you, rather than just being scared of you. So, the prince gets a redemption. Any of the staff who, could have stepped in get a redemption, and she gets a redemption. This is the happiest ending version, I think, at any of them, because everyone comes out of it having learned and having grown. Even she does. She could have been 100% by the book. I said this, these are my criteria, they haven't been met, tough. But she goes, no, this is the best thing to do. Gives those townspeople their friends, wives, husbands, whatever back. Gives the staff their non-magical item status, their actual human status back. Gives the prince his human status back. And just makes the whole area richer for it. So, a job well done. Like I say, it's not without its flaws, it's not perfect, and in a lot of places it is a shot-for-shot remake, pretty much, as much as you can do in live action. But I'm glad that, they used this opportunity to right some wrongs with the original one, to clarify some things, and to actually make it, as much as anything, about social responsibility. So until next time, as always, take care, not only of yourself, but of each other. Let's spread this social responsibility around.